So much news, so little time. The Rangers have a new general manager. Their pitcher has declined a player option, and there is a lot more news to talk about as the Rangers front office gets ready for the GM meetings. It's all coming up on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Not a surprise, but it is news, as Nathan Eovaldi has declined his player option. We expected that he would do that. It's one of the reasons he worked so hard to get to that magic 300-inning threshold over the 2-year contract. And so he has that option. He has that right, and he has exercised that right. Hi there, and welcome into the DLLS Sports Studios. Welcome to the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan here with Abby Jones. Jeff Wilson.
Howdy.
Gallivanting around New York today with the family.
He picked a day, didn't he?
Well, I
gosh.
went there today to watch the ticker tape parade.
Oh.
How'd that work out for him?
Okay.
He picked the Yankees. We both picked the Yankees too, and he was just kidding, but he thought, wouldn't it be nice if we were there for a ticker tape parade? And I agree with him. That'd be fun to see. But anyway, Jeff's not here today. Won't be tomorrow. He'll be back, I think, Wednesday, and we'll be hanging out with you. In the meantime, please like us. Please subscribe to us. Please chat with us. If the timing was different, let's put it that way. If the timing was different, we would be calling this an emergency pod, because there is so much news that happened when Chris Young met with the media just a little over an hour ago. And we're going to get to all of that news, which, as I mentioned, includes the Nathan Eovaldi news, and it absolutely includes the new GM and the new assistant GM. And we get to all of that. But first, we want to tell you, you do not have long, people. The offer, the cheapest we've ever offered for you to be a diehard. And again, we haven't been around as long. The people in some of those other markets know it's never been this cheap, and it's not going to be for long. Today's the last day for you to get this wonderful offer to become a diehard for $49 instead of $79.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And you get a T-shirt.
You get a T-shirt.
Content. I mean, it pays for itself.
Right. And Jeff's probably feverishly writing, even as he hangs around New York and goes to the Empire State Building, feverishly writing about what went on at the behind the scenes today at that meeting. So there's a lot there. That's the kind of content you'll get behind our paywall. So huge opportunity for you. Like we say, we're so proud of this and proud of you. We've had 1,500 people sign up to become diehards during this time period. You know what they are? Smart. They're smart because look, the price is going back up. So today's the day. Sign up, get that cheap price, get the T-shirt, and maybe we'll do this again, but we don't know. They don't tell us stuff. So do it before you don't have an opportunity to do it, okay? Very big day for you. Very big day for the Rangers, who, knew, again, see why I mentioned this at the meeting, but he knew and expected Nathan Eovaldi to decline the player option.
Right. It's no shock that he was going to do that. He had a vesting option for the 2025 season that was dependent on whether he threw those 300 innings, like Rad said. He threw 314 2 1/3 innings. He went 24-13 in that span with a 3.7 ERA in 54 games. We know what Nathan Eovaldi is capable of. They call him Nasty Nate because he's dominant in the playoffs. I was kind of talking to my dad last night a little bit about the free agency stuff. We were discussing the Garrett Cole contract. When you're an elite player, you get to put stipulations in your contract. And this is, one that Nathan Eovaldi and his agent have chosen to do. He's reached his mark. He wants to see. I mean, Nathan Eovaldi knows what he's worth. He's 34 years old, which is, to be honest, maybe the prime of his career. This is going to be one of the last opportunities that he can sign, a really fantastic deal before he's, majority, like if you're looking at a 3-year, a 4-year, a 5-year deal, I mean, that's going to put him 37, 38, 39, which is, as Jeff is always saying, that's the age of the cutoff really for a great contract. So this is probably his last option to get one of those massive deals that he wants. And let's be honest, I mean, every team that will contend wants a pitcher like Nathan Eovaldi on their roster. He was dominant with the Rangers. He's consistent. And not even about, when you look up his stats, just the type of player that he is. He is a leader with this club, and every single player has said Nathan Eovaldi's my favorite teammate because we can talk and he shows me these things. He teaches me these things. If you're a young guy, you want to be a sponge around Nathan Eovaldi. There's no better mind in that clubhouse other than like Mike Maddox, who we all are well aware of his contributions to the game of baseball, but Nathan Eovaldi is just a guy that you want to have in your clubhouse. He is priority 1, 2, A, B, C, and D for the Texas Rangers. But, yeah, he had the option to decline it. We knew he was going to. He's going to see what free agency is like. And everyone wants to see what they're worth. I mean, heck, you're seeing Garrett Cole himself do that. And as a player, I was kind of talking to my dad trying to make sense of it all. Players have an ego.
Sure.
It's why they're able to be some of the best in the world, to be and compete at this level, at a high level on a constant basis. You have to be a little bit delusional in yourself. No, I'm the best ever. I am worth this amount of money, and I know that I can do this. Like, you've got to believe in yourself more than ever. So Nathan Eovaldi just has to see what options are out there. It's been, pretty, I don't want to say obvious or clear, but it makes a lot of sense for him to re-sign with the Texas Rangers. But he wants to see what's available, and I can't blame him.
No, I can't either. And again, I love the comments coming in. And Ethan, if Ethan is right with the multiple reports about Blake Snell, which I've seen those too. And again, reports are reports until they become more than that. But if that scenario played out, if the Rangers went all in on Blake Snell, who is one of the other players out there who declined the player option, right? If that were the case, and Blake becomes a free agent immediately because he's already been offered the qualifying offer, and a team can't offer that to you twice. So he's a free agent. If the Rangers got Blake Snell, they wouldn't feel bad about letting Nathan Eovaldi walk. Well, they still would a little bit. You know why? Because of what Abby said. He's such a great teacher. He's such a great clubhouse guy. But to Ethan's point, they wouldn't have the money to get both of those guys.
You can't get both. It's Nathan Eovaldi or it's
or Blake Snell or somebody
else.
Of his ilk. And that would be fine. And I do love Ben followed that up with, this hot stove league is already heating up, and it is. And that has a lot to do with the Rangers president of baseball operations, Chris Young. And it has a lot to do, obviously, with their new general manager, Ross Fenstermaker, who was the guy we expected would be named. If they were going to make an internal candidate the general manager, we figured it was going to be Ross. He's been with the organization since 2010, an organization he started with, Abs, as an intern. Yeah. He was an intern in the baseball operations department for the Texas Rangers, a California native, but, got the internship here. And it's one of those internships that's paid off handsomely for him. He and CY have worked closely together for 4 years now. He credited John Daniels during the announcement today with helping to mentor him. And it is a very synergistic move in that they've all worked together closely over the years. Yes, a few things change, but there's synergy here.
Yeah. Well, the Rangers really expressed internal growth and exit meetings. They were talking about the diamond, but I guess internally as well. It seems that this is just kind of the way that makes sense right now for the Rangers. And I know we're going to get into this in a little bit, but even, the assistant to Bruce Bochy, I mean, they were even discussing internal options there. They haven't come to a conclusion yet. But it does make a lot of sense. He's been CY's right-hand man for some time. To have somebody that's been in the organization for 16 years. I mean, this kid's, I call him a kid. He's 38.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not as young as JD was when he started, but 38 years old, 16 years in the organization. And when you're 38, 16 years, quick math of, I don't even know what, that's, I want to say more than half your life with the Rangers.
Yeah.
So that the guy that you have is going to be, somebody that understands the system. What I loved, and I think CY probably really loves, is his involvement on the international side of things. I mean, he has shown, what he can do as far as scouting. He served as senior director of pro and international scouting, director of pro scouting, and international cross-checker. So CY said it best. His fingerprints are all over the Texas Rangers. Now, I think with the offseason stuff that we've been discussing with Roku Sasaki, what a first move would this be? And with this international presence, I mean, this would really kind of make sense. And, Rangers fans, maybe you're thinking, is this the guy that's going to be, the signed, sealed, delivered? Here comes Roku Sasaki. And that's your first signing as general manager. That's a pretty good one because he's been called the Japanese Jacob deGrom.
Yes. In fairness, we don't even know that Sasaki will be posted yet.
True.
But if he is, and there's no doubt that all 30 teams will be interested in him, and there's no doubt that the Rangers have done a lot of legwork, much of it spearheaded, if not done in person, by Ross Fenstermaker, their new general manager. They also have a new assistant general manager who is Cole Figueroa. He's a young man who played for 3 years in the big leagues. He played for the Yankees, and he played for the Tampa Bay Rays.
And the Pirates.
And one more team? Pirates too, okay. Mm-hmm. And so, but he's been in the Rays organization now for ever since his career ended, and he's been the last 3 years. He's been the president or the leader of baseball operations, and that's a big job. It's a really big job for a young guy, and we don't know a lot about Cole Figueroa, but they feel like they have a very good sense of who he is and what he can bring. And CY said, baseball ops has been an area where we've needed some help for a while, and we feel like this guy will come in and he will, help in that realm. And by the way, the front office stuff that happens in Tampa is extremely well thought of throughout the game, right? They're pioneers. Yeah. They're leaders in all the different aspects of what they do, going all the way back to they were the first ones that introduced the idea of using an opener as a guy to help bridge the gap for a pitcher who might not be ready to start the game. So and basically they also were the ones that then started the idea, the concept of the bullpen game, or the chaos as they call it in Detroit. So there's a lot offered by that organization. You can glean from them, learn from them.
Yeah, and I think CY, the main thing that he's looking at is he loves when a guy, has that player perspective. I mean, that's what separates Chris Young from all the other general managers. He has a perspective that other people don't have. And he says, because of it, I have a little bit of a sympathy and empathy with these players, knowing what they're going through, but at the same time, I can also demand that much more respect because I've done it too. And I know what I'm asking of these guys. I know that it's doable. But no, with this new addition of Cole, his last year playing was 2016. We've talked about the importance of, not too long out of the game. The game changes every single day. So for a guy, 8 years that it's been since he's been a professional athlete playing at that level, he's going to relate to this team so well. I think he's going to be a great right-hand man for this new office, and I'm really excited to see what it's going to look like in 2025. I think the biggest takeaway was you could really hear the hunger for returning to the championship level and quality that the Rangers got used to in 2023. And Ross said it himself. He's like, we are a championship caliber team. We want to take it to that next level. Bruce Bochy isn't satisfied with going there one time as a Texas Ranger. It's not like, oh, the Rangers won the World Series, let's check it off our list, that was great. Let's continue to be this amazing baseball club, program and organization and continue to bring championships back to this team. It's not a one and done.
Not at all. That's not the plan. It never was. They even actually brought up the television contract, which of course has been the reason, some would say excuse reason that there's been uncertainty in some of the past off seasons, in particular last off season, right? But that Bally situation hung over their heads for a long time. And CY addressed that, and he said, look, it happened, but it's no longer a problem. He said that Ray Davis almost apologizes to him daily for, having put him, CY, in a position where he couldn't do the things that he really wanted to do. When asked if he would have enough money, and Jeff asked this question on his vacation, he did jump in on the call. He said, are you going to have enough money to do the things you want to do this off season? And CY said, in no uncertain terms, definitively, yes. Yes, we will. So that's exciting news. And it makes, Ben's comment from earlier in the show about, I just want the Rangers to have, an active hot stove league season. Boy, so do we. So do we.
I think that they will.
Makes this show easier on a daily basis. So anyway, we appreciate all of that. Don't forget, sign up, be a diehard today. We've got lots more coming up as we get to more actual coaching and front office type news, but we'll also get to player movement from not only the Rangers organization, but from around baseball. It's all coming up on the DLLS Rangers podcast. But first, we want to talk about floors. It's time. This is a really good time to get floors, because what you're going to remember today, after we get rain, significant rain for the first time in who knows how long, months, yeah. That rain and the mud and the ancillary dirt and grass and stuff, it gets clogged up, and then all of a sudden you look at that floor, you look at that carpet, if that's what you're rocking these days, and you go, man, we could really use some new stuff. And you could, and you might as well get it in for the holidays. So go to Empire today, and get yourself some new flooring. They have great technology, they have the best products, the best prices, and you can go get them really easily. You can take a picture of the floor that you want to be replaced, take it up to Empire today, and they will put in options of what it would look like with their product on your floor. $350 off new floors, empiretoday.com/DLLS.
While you're at it, check out Roback. It is RH, like Rads. Think of Rads when you go to Roback.
Please do.
Because you need the H. But it's the best fit, the best feel. It is performance polos like never before. They have a wicking fabric, so you're not going to get too hot if it ever does cool down in Texas. I'd imagine they have some pretty good rain gear as well, some water repellent stuff as well. Because when you're out on the course and it rains, I mean, that's not stopping you from shooting your game, right?
No, you can't.
Rain or shine, you're with a few boys, you get a couple beers, you guys are rolling through a whole game.
One of the reasons I wore the water resistant today, because we may get some rain walking out of here. But you're right, you gotta have a rain suit.
You want the best performance polos to do that. So go to Roback. You can use the code DLLS20 for 20% off of your order. DLLS20 for 20% off. Go to roback.com.
It's fantastic gear. So more news from the Rangers today, and we knew this, and I think we mentioned it on the show the other day. The Rangers have a new assistant hitting coach to replace Tim Hires. Mm-hmm. And this is news because we weren't sure, but what Seth Connor would be moved up as an internal candidate. But is it Justin Veely?
I think that's how you say it.
Justin Veely. He comes to the organization from the San Francisco Giants, where he worked for a year with Donnie Ecker, right? So they know each other. And when when they were together with the Giants that year, the Giants led all of Major League Baseball in home runs with 241. That doesn't mean that the Rangers will immediately start hitting 250 home runs a year, but it does mean that this young man knows what he's doing with regard to getting that slug, getting that power into the stroke, but obviously still good at bats, right? Still adhering to the principles that Donnie Ecker preaches so well. The most important thing is to see those pitches and to work that pitcher and to, have a good at bat, a quality at bat. That will still be a huge part of this. But now this is a coach who has proven in the past he can get the most out of that slug.
Right. And, CY said today on the conference call, his experience is what separates him from the other candidates, because they did talk about, the possible internal route of filling that position of Tim Hires, who's now with the Atlanta Braves as a hitting coach. But I think, if anybody's going to probably go to bat for this guy, I think Donnie Ecker's word would carry a massive weight, because, his baseball IQ, insane.
Off the charts.
We've talked about, how in-depth his knowledge is of the game and just how well he is and able he is to break it down. All the players talk about that. A lot of players have previous relationships with Donnie Eckers, and Carson Kelly in particular. That was one guy that he said, yeah, I'm familiar with Donnie and what he brings, and I felt really comfortable, in this new clubhouse at this point in the season, because I know he's going to equip me to handle this situation and this transition better than anybody else in the game. So I think a stamp of approval from Donnie Ecker says a lot. I think it might have, helped the Rangers commit to this deal, and having Justin here. There's so many changes ahead of the 2025 season. There's also a lot of returns that we're excited to see. But I think it is, if you're a Rangers fan, there's a lot of hope and there's a lot of promise that this club is, just kind of sitting in, dwelling in, and gearing up for spring training.
Yeah, they're doing everything in their power, and the great news is that, which we mentioned right at the end of the last segment, that the budget shouldn't be a constraint, right? Of course, there are always budgets, and they definitely do want to keep it under that threshold of having to pay a luxury tax. But look, a lot of money is going off the books, so there is a lot of room to work within that budget and still keep it under that luxury tax threshold. That's what the Rangers are all about. That's what all these brilliant minds are working daily on. One of the things that was mentioned at the press conference by Ross Fenstermaker was, CY and I will have daily conversations, often into the wee hours of the night. That is how long and how hard they work on this thing. They go home at night. That doesn't mean they stop working, right? That means they're having phone calls, they're having conversations, and they're still making sure. He said in the context of that comment, that's to make sure we're still always on the same page. There is so much going into the thought processes and the plan and what they want to get accomplished in order to keep this team not only relevant, but at a championship level.
The student becomes the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they just reiterated their relationship together. A similar tie. I know we're probably going to talk about it tomorrow, but Will Venable's transition to the White Sox, he credited Bruce Bochy and the coaching staff here and just how much he's learned and how prepared that he felt. And I essentially asked that same question to Ross today. Hey, being in CY's shadow, how much have you learned? How prepared do you feel for this moment from what you've learned from CY in this position before? And he just sung his praises highly. And I think, as anybody would, Chris Young has done an incredible job with the Texas Rangers and what he did during his time as a general manager. I actually love that he took the step up and he's now the president of baseball ops for this club. I just think everyone is truly so committed and like 110% in to this offseason.
No doubt about it. It's going to be an active one. It's going to be a busy one, and that's because there are needs, right? And the biggest need is to get this thing back to where it was a year ago. That's the goal. That's the plan, and that is exactly what they will be working on a daily basis. Now, some news along the way. David Robertson has declined the mutual option that existed on his contract. And so it only takes one to tango in that case. He declined it. So there is, he's a free agent. He is not a part of the Texas Rangers as of right now. That's another $11.5 million, obviously, though, that comes off the books. And we've told you before, David Robertson's thought process is he may retire. He's even talked about, mused about maybe nothing official, but thought about maybe I'll take part of the season off and come back and help a contender, something like that. So he's his own agent, so he can operate however he wants to. But David Robertson's money is coming off. David Robertson is a free agent, and we mentioned at the beginning, no surprise, but Nathan Eovaldi has declined his player option as well. It's his right. It's his really duty to himself and to his family, rather than making $20 million. Yeah. Rather than making $20 million this year on the third year of his contract, he can sign a multiple-year deal that will likely pay him more per year than he would make in the 1 year. Yeah.
One note, because you jumped from David Robertson quickly, but so he has a career 2.9 ERA, 876 innings pitched.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about that enough.
No.
I mean, that is insane. And, he passed Mariano Rivera in career strikeouts. He joked and said that's probably the only thing I'll pass him in. But no, to have David Robertson, a part of this bullpen was massive. I mean, that's a reliable guy that you can count on. I do think that the 1-2 punch of Kirby Yates, David Robertson helps a lot. Rangers are still kind of discussing a few things there with Kirby. But no, I mean, it's if he retires, that's a sad person to lose out of the game of baseball.
It is, because he hadn't lost it, right? Yeah. I mean, like a lot of guys who go, it's about time. Yeah, go ahead and go ahead and hang it up. He hadn't lost it at all. He had a great year last year, and he's a great guy. And it won't be a surprise. It won't. If he suddenly gets the itch and says, you know what? I do want to do this again. Or he lives in Rhode Island. Maybe, he all of a sudden the Red Sox are interested, right? That's close to Rhode Island, and he could be nearer to his family when there are home games, right? When he comes to Texas and the family's in Rhode Island, every game, he's always away from the family, right? Whereas if he had home games there in the Boston area, he might be able to commute to Boston for those home games. So
it's like one of the teams that he hasn't been with in his 16 years.
Yeah. So there's lots of options, but we know this. He won't be fulfilling the final year of his contract with the Texas Rangers. So that's some news. We've got more player development type news to talk about, as Abby mentioned earlier in the show, the Garrett Cole situation. That's juicy. That's interesting.
A lot of drama in New York.
There is drama in New York. We will get to that. There's more guys who are, making the move, right? Taking the steps that they can take with their contracts right now. This is the time to do it. The GM meetings also begin tomorrow in San Antonio. I asked Ross Fenstermaker what he thought he would do at his first GM meetings as the GM. We'll get to that answer and so much more as the DLLS Rangers podcast continues in a moment.
Well, you guys need to download Game Time because it's going to be a lot of things happening here. There's a Mavs game tonight. I don't know if you want to go to a Cowboys game at this point, but hey, if you need something to do on the weekend, use Game Time. Also Stars and Rangers, of course. Game Time is going to be just your one-stop shop, the best place to go to get tickets. I've actually used Game Time. It is very trusted. Lowest prices that they have. We have a code for you as well, DLLS, for $20 off of your first purchase. You get a refund if there's anything wrong with your ticket, or if the concert or whatever event you're going to was canceled. So you do have a money-back guaranteed option there. You can also check out and see your seat before you go. I don't know how many times I haven't personally, but I imagine a lot of people have maybe bought a seat that a foul pole was in front of, and you paid all this money to watch this great game and you can't even see it, or you're in the nosebleeds. So you can kind of check before you buy. Go to Game Time, download the app, use code DLLS, $20 off your first purchase.
Hey, we appreciate Game Time, and we appreciate Sleeper. Man, Sleeper has really taken a lot of our chatters, a lot of our listeners and our viewers by storm, because it's really a fun app to be a part of. You've always known they were there for the fantasy football, the fantasy baseball, the fantasy leagues, right? But they are a daily pick'em site as well. And so you just go through, and I've had so much fun doing this. You just go through and you pick whether you think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to score 30 tonight or not, right? And you have an opportunity to pick that. You can put 4 or 5 different things together. Jeff did that one time last week, and he won $190 by getting 4 of the 5, actually. So
who's supposed to buy us dinner?
Yeah, I think he will get us nice bagels in New York or something. Anyway, first $100 first match if you use the code DLLS Rangers Sleeper. It's a lot of fun. All right, this Rangers offseason, it's barely underway, and it's already a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Rangers have a new GM, as we mentioned, Ross Fenstermaker. They have a new assistant general manager, as we mentioned, Cole Figueroa, a new assistant hitting coach. His name is Justin Veely, and they have lots to do, so much to do as they head toward the offseason. We mentioned Robertson and Evo declining their player options. Let us now talk about this Garrett Cole news that made so much news over the course of the weekend, and that was basically that the Yankees, or that he has basically opted out of his contract. Now, he wouldn't be out next year under any circumstances. The contract runs through 2029. What he wanted, this is smart, in 2029, I think he'll be 38, maybe 39.
Let me
and so I think it's 39. So what he wants is what Mad Max is not going to get. Max Scherzer is not going to get big money in his 40th year. Not in baseball, but in life, right? When he's 40,
he will be 39, correct?
Yeah, he'll be 30. So what all Cole is basically doing with the help of his agent, and like Abby's dad was saying earlier, you have the option as a vested baseball player to take care of yourself and take care of your family, and teams will agree to things in order to make you sign that free agent contract. So what the Yankees agreed to here,
when he signed years ago,
is to say, you know what? If things are going well after the 2024 season, we will even throw on one more year at $36 million. But whenever they signed it back in 2020, they didn't want to commit to that, right? So they made it an option. Well, this is the year. Time to opt in or opt out. I think they'll opt in. He had a great postseason. He's lived up to the expectations. I think they opt in.
Me and my dad had a long talk about this because I said, this is the timing is wild because realistically, he did cost them the game.
Not by pitching.
Not by pitching, but he didn't cover first base,
right,
which is big. My dad was like, yep, that's a move to kind of make that mistake and then say, hey, I'm going to go test the market a little bit.
But again, he had to test the market now because it was built into the contract.
That was in
originally.
The contract either way. But I am just saying, I was like, the timing of it is a little bit hilarious because also Rizzo is a free agent now.
Yeah.
So, there were consequences to that. But no, this is a part of his, contract, and great players get to do this. Their agents are smart enough to put in these stipulations that they don't get trapped in the same team. And not that the New York Yankees are a bad team to be trapped with, but hey, I mean, these players are people. They want to think long term about the best for their family, their career, their finances. He's made plenty of money. It's not like if he, takes a lower deal, he's going to need a side job or anything like that. But if you know that you can get more for who you are and the type of, expertise that you bring to the game, anybody would take the higher payroll, So Garrett Cole's smart to exercise this option. I do agree that the Yankees probably will sign it. Can you get somebody better than Garrett Cole for this amount of money? Heck no. And then if you don't sign it, then you have that, 1 year left. And do you want to go out with a team that is not going to contend? I mean, if you're Garrett Cole, do you want to pitch for a non-contending team in your final season?
Again,
or do you want to take a pay cut?
He's a Yankee until 29, during which time he expects, and the team expects, that they'll be back to the point where they are. I mean, the Rangers expect it too from being there last year. Of course, the Yankees expect it. So, yeah, the chances of him wanting to pitch, who knows? I don't know the guy personally, but the chances of him wanting to pitch when he's 40 aren't great because, again, to your point, he will have made, I think this contract is $234 million, and it's not his first one. So he'll have made $300 million in his career. Do you really want to go pitch somewhere for $20 million? Maybe some guys just let me. Max Scherzer does, right? Max has made plenty of money, and Max wants to pitch.
Yeah, it's
and
not
somebody,
about money
somebody in the
guys.
comments, I think it may have been Ethan again, said, Mad Max ain't going to be back. No, I mean, the chances of Max Scherzer being a part of the Texas Rangers next year are not great at all. They will not intend to bring him back. Of course, you'd love to have him at your price, but you're not going to be able to get him at your price. And because your price is quite low right now based on the injuries that he has suffered with. What if you sign him even for $20 million?
You get 9 games out of him.
You get 9. Yeah. No.
I mean, and those 9 games, do you pencil them down as wins? Probably.
Sure.
I mean, maybe with like a one-off. I mean, it's not like the product is not the product. I mean, he's still Max Scherzer. But it's if you're looking to really make a run, I mean, you need a very solid ace in your rotation.
Yeah.
I don't think Max Scherzer can be dependable anymore.
No, I don't think so either. Not for that money. Obviously, he's not going to make $43 million no matter where he goes. I would guess he's probably thinking he can get $20 million for a 1 or maybe even a 2-year deal. But he won't be able to get that from the Texas Rangers. That's just the way it goes. Other guys making news. Joey Gallo is free. So are you interested in signing him to a minor league deal and just seeing if you can resurrect it with him? He truly, had his best days, obviously, here as a Texas Ranger. Natalie was asking, are they going to go get a bat? This isn't the bat you'd necessarily want to get unless you're saying it could be the bat that Joey Gallo had in 2021, right? Or those years, those really good years where he was, leading the league in home runs and things like that. So, no, I wouldn't. I'm sure the Rangers, again, if they did anything with Joey, it would just be a minor league deal. This isn't something they're chomping at the bit to do, but he's out there.
Yeah, it's tricky. Some people, I don't know. They probably need to have honest conversations with themselves,
Possibly. Yep.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yep, that's definitely a possibility. And, Gallo came up with the likes of Bryce Harper and Chris Bryant and those guys, and he's watching them still succeed, and I don't blame him, wanting to, see if he can relight the fire a little bit. So, and don't feel bad for Joey. He's made plenty of money in his career, not in that neighborhood of those other fellas we were talking about in the hundreds of millions, but multiple tens of millions for Joey Gallo.
He's sitting at like 36. He's good.
Yeah. Is that where he sits?
Yeah.
36 million. Yeah.
He's smart with the money.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the Rangers want to really get near that one.
No.
I don't know if we discussed on here the Jordan Montgomery option.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. The trade option with Montgomery, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let us know in the chat if you guys would be interested to see Jordan Montgomery, back in a Texas Rangers uniform. Obviously the Rangers, it'd have to be the right price for the Rangers. I mean, Jordan Montgomery signed $20 million, I think, this year, maybe 22. And, he clearly does not want to be with the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks clearly do not want him. So I think if you could get Jordan Montgomery at the right price, that makes a lot of sense. I think that if you have to sacrifice something else in order to get him, maybe not. I look at Jordan Montgomery as, if you can have your cake and eat it too, kind of thing. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. He is a guy who, based on what he did in Arizona last year, would cause you pause, right? If you were almost any team besides Detroit, you'd go, besides Detroit, besides the Rangers, you would say, yeah, I'm not interested, right? I saw what he did. But two things about it. One, he had such a comfort level here, not only in this organization and with these guys, but with that pitching coach, Mike Maddox, right?
Yeah.
And so Mike Maddox and he would be reunited. Mike Maddox was the one stumping for him at the trade deadline in 23. saying we can do great things with this guy. And then he got here and they did. So I think that, him and Mike Maddox being reunited could just be one of those sort of magic relationships, right? So, Mike becomes the Jordan Montgomery whisperer, you know?
And, I mean, we've seen players can go somewhere that it's just toxic, you know?
Doesn't work.
And I think this past season was that for Jordan Montgomery. He had a 6 ERA. He doesn't do that. This isn't who Jordan Montgomery.
Well, and he didn't have a off season. I mean, he didn't have spring training, right?
Right.
He didn't sign till after spring training. So you get him for a full off season and a full spring training and gets his normal work in.
And if I'm Jordan Montgomery and an owner came out and said these things about me, saying, I'll have the biggest headache and the biggest mistake of the season and all this, I would go out there and pitch like I have never pitched before, just to be like, oh, yeah, that's what you think about me? I'll show you. I'll go win a Cy Young. Not that that's really going to happen.
Right.
But that would probably be my mentality. You counted me out so bad. You wanted me out of your organization. All right, be my guest. Sign me away. I'll go play for somebody that, one, wants me, and I'll play good. And we've seen what Jordan Montgomery can do. I mean, it's again, for me, it's the Rangers. Has to be the right price. But I do think this is going to be a prove-it year for Jordan Montgomery, not for his baseball career. I just think for himself. I mean, it's a grown man that's been publicly criticized, shamed, and doubted. He's pissed off. He's going to want to be like, oh, yeah, that's what you think about me? All right, I'll remember that.
Yeah, he'd sure like to be somewhere else and prove it, too. That'd be even better, right? Because he's still going to make his money. It's guaranteed. So he would love that. Now, and he would love it if the Diamondbacks were paying a large portion of that, which I think any team that took him on in a trade really or otherwise would want the Diamondbacks to pay. I see Ethan saying Gray for Monty, and that's I've seen that. I've seen that out there before. And, that's the thing. Now, you're not adding to the number of arms in the stable if you give up one of the arms for one of the arms. That said, right now, we're not sure there's a spot for John Gray in the rotation.
Yes.
And $14 million is what he's owed, and that's a lot to pay a guy who is not in the rotation unless he's the closer. And frankly, even as the closer, that's more than the Rangers have paid for a closer. So, that's the only way you really are comfortable paying John Gray $14 million is if he's a starting pitcher, which, again, where are we going to put him? Or if he's the closer.
Yeah. No, and I think that's definitely what you have to kind of consider. Jordan Montgomery came out of the pen this year. Wasn't great, Now, John Gray, does he want to come out of the pen?
No.
I mean, that's a realistic conversation that John Gray needs to have with himself and that he needs to be honest with about the Rangers. You get Cody Bradford. Oh, I love the Texas Rangers, and I'll pitch anywhere that they put me. And I'll smile. And that is the beautiful answer that, we love hearing from athletes. But when you rack up a few numbers, you can have a little bit more so of a say. I would think if John Gray wanted to, extend his career and extend it even further, coming out of the pen would be a good option. Moving into that closer role could be a good option. It's just, does he want to make that transition?
Right, and there's nobody that will dispute that John Gray has as good a stuff, maybe the best stuff of anybody on the team.
The players even say,
right?
Yeah,
everybody says that. He's got great stuff. The problem is he's just been injured every single year that he's been with the Texas Rangers. And frankly, that was the word we heard about him, our buddy Jeff Hewson, who longtime Ranger fans will remember as a shortstop back in the early 90s. Jeff's one of the broadcasters for the Colorado Rockies. And Jeff told us beforehand, you're going to love this guy's stuff, but you can't keep him on the mound. And in many ways, that's not his fault, right? Your body breaks down. I do think, though, to your point, and the point your dad was making earlier, right, that ego gets involved. And so John Gray isn't going to be that guy that just says, oh, whatever you want me to do, because, again, that ego.
Andrew Chafin wears a shirt that says failed starter.
Right. I love that.
I mean, that's essentially what a closer is, you know, or a pen guy. Hey, I can say it, I think, the most because my dad was the closer his whole career. I mean, he wasn't good enough to be a starter, and that's just how it is. It's not like the worst thing ever. But you got to know your role, and you got to accept it and be able to to do it and to do it well. And I think that's an internal question that only John Gray can answer.
And it's a conversation that will no doubt be had. More coming up as it's time for the fourth batter in the lineup. We're batting cleanup when we come back. There's a lot of things to touch on, including some Hall of Fame announcements are coming your way. So we want to know from you if you would put any of these men in the Hall of Fame. Maybe we want to know if any of you remember any of these men, because it's the Classic Era Committee. We'll get to that next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. But first, we started with this, and we will continue to hammer this. You need to get yourself a Die Hard subscription today. It's the last day of our special offer. Join 1,500 of your friends and area mates who are all fans. Our goal here, we probably don't state this enough. Our goal here at all of our DLLS and really all of our All-City networks is to make it more fun to be a fan. And part of fun is hanging out with other fans who are having fun, like people are doing in our chat, talking to each other. We want you to do that, and we want you to be able to hang out with diehards. $49 today. You get a free shirt, 20% off all the merchandise, 20% off the events that will be coming. There's going to be lots of things, and there's the T-shirt. You get a free one, and we'll send that right to you for signing up as a diehard. And then, of course, you get to go behind the paywall and read everything that's anything from behind the paywall. If you want to see Jeff's last article about what the significant dates and days are in the off season, you can do it. Just go behind the paywall and read it. So become a diehard today, would you please? It's a great idea. It's smart.
Also, we have a fun event on Friday that we're going to get to go to. So do you want to tell them about that?
The Do It for Durit?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's fantastic.
Have you ever been to the banquet?
I have.
Okay, it's my first time, so I don't know much about it.
Yeah, there's a banquet.
But we won't have a show on Friday.
No.
Because we're going to be covering the event.
There's a golf tournament and a banquet. I think the golf tournament's sold out. The banquet, there might still be tickets available for Do It for Durit. Go to doitfordurit.com and you'll buy tickets if there's any still available. It's a fantastic event. There's music, there's dancing, there's fun, and there's some of the best auction items you can ever come up with. And you should go, and you should wear your DLLS gear. We would appreciate that. That's the greatest merchandise out there, and you could go up there and represent DLLS, and then everybody at Do It for Durit would know why you're at Do It for Durit. You will not be disappointed.
But we are going to be there covering that, and it'll be a great event.
Be fun. Yeah, we look forward to that.
All right, let's take a look. Some Silver Sluggers have been announced.
Yeah.
A few of them are your Texas Rangers. Long list, and Rad's already put on his glasses, but
I've got to read that.
Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, and take a look at this one, Josh Smith as the utility. Corey Seager, obviously shortstop. Marcus Semien, second base. Josh Smith, what a season for Josh Smith.
That is so well earned. I am so happy that he is able to be, and maybe, who knows, he may not win it, but to even be recognized
be nominated
for everything that he did. It didn't matter what position you put him in. And in fact, what Bruce Bochy found himself doing and saying about Josh Smith this season is, well, I got to keep his bat in the lineup, right?
He's irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because 2 years ago, I was like, why is Josh Smith still on this team?
Right.
Just to take a look at his numbers, he was hitting, honestly, $150 for a majority of last year. Finished at 185, 29 runs, 36 hits, 15 RBI, 6 home runs. Compare that to this year, 258, slugging 731, or on-base percentage, 67 runs, 135 hits, 62 RBI, 13 home runs. Josh Smith, to me, was MVP of the Texas Rangers 2024 season. He was reliable. He was ready at the drop of a hat. He literally led off and replaced Marcus Semien first in the batting order. That just doesn't happen. And we know this about Bruce Bochy. He's going to go with a hot hand. He did that multiple times. For Josh Smith to be put in really every position, and at shortstop, and at third base a lot for Josh Young. At the beginning of the lineup when Marcus Semien took a rare day off. I mean, he's really shown, hey, you put me wherever you need me to. I think he's the ultimate utility player for the Texas Rangers.
He is
he's
awesome.
Essential.
He is awesome. And again, that is a role that is not difficult for a
not easy.
Is difficult for a younger player to put themselves into or to be placed into. For whatever reason, guys who are young in their career do not have success when they don't have that opportunity to play every day. Now, I say that, look, the reality is Josh Smith had the opportunity to play almost every day this year. And so that's key, getting those regular reps, those regular at-bats. It definitely paid off. But again, if you do it properly, as Josh Smith did, and especially in this day and age, when we're more concerned about giving guys rest and giving guys a blow and all that type of thing, then you force your way into that lineup. That's essentially what Josh Smith did this year. So fantastic news that he will be recognized for that. Of course, Corey Seager is a finalist for a Silver Slugger. And, again, he is in a crowded field among the other shortstops with Gunnar Henderson and Bobby Witt Jr. But this guy, and we've seen it day in and day out, home, road, wherever, Corey Seager is a hitting machine.
Robot.
Almost a robot. We see it. We ask him every time he comes back from, usually a fairly short stint, but any stint on the injured list, when Corey Seager comes back, he hits immediately. And we ask him, and we ask Boch, and we ask everybody, like, how does he do that? Almost everybody needs time to sort of get their stroke back, their timing back, their feel back. Not Corey Seager. He's an amazing, amazing hitter.
It's true. I love analytics. I love stats. I love taking a look at the, reports and stuff. So before games, I actually will, kind of pull up my questions and I'll meet with Donnie. I'll say, Donnie, I noticed this about XYZ in the lineup or whatever.
Offensive coordinator Donnie Eckert, that is.
Yes, sorry. And when I ask him questions, he says, well, this is what's going to happen. And he says, unless you're Corey Seager. Yeah. I mean, Corey is the exception of everything in hitting because he literally is just a machine. I mean, it's why he's able to hit first pitch home runs, Nobody else in the league has hit as many as him. He's the guy for the Texas Rangers.
No
and a good update here on the injuries. Seager, he's progressing nicely from his surgery, close to resuming normal off-season strength and conditioning program. It was sports hernia. It was one or the left or right last year.
He had both of them done in the last
this
year.
Yeah. So it is a copy-paste, recovery process. I mean, it's good on one hand. He knows exactly what to do. He's going to get a spring training, which even, he himself learned the importance of a full spring training.
It won't be a completely normal off season because there is recovery as he's going through right now from the surgery, but it will be a completely normal spring training. Remember, he got the surgery last year at the end of January. And so spring training was non-existent for him. And he actually did get off to he always comes back strong. He got off to a fairly slow start offensively this year, but once he got into his rhythm, he was right back in his rhythm
Corey
again.
Seager
and
once
so,
again.
it's awesome to see that Corey will have that full spring training again this year. And your point is well taken. I think that the hitters always say, well, pitchers need all this time for spring training because they have to ramp up, but we damn sure don't need to be here for 6 weeks. And, last year, maybe 6 weeks is true, but last year was an example for Corey Seager and others that spring training. Yeah, spring training is a very important time of the year to get yourself ready to play a long, long baseball season. Back to the Silver Slugger list and Marcus Semien. That one surprises me a little bit, actually. Simi didn't have a great year offensively, right? And so you look at that one and go, reputation, maybe.
Because he was up for a Gold Glove as well.
Yeah. That one, not quite as surprising in large part because there's just, there's not a ton of great second basemen at this stage in our game.
Yeah.
But even though I say that I'm not trying to diminish how strong and how good Marcus Semien is at second base. And one of the things I love about Marcus Semien from that perspective, after the first year that he was here, of course, he came here, he was a shortstop. And on the same day the Rangers signed him, they also signed Corey Seager, right?
So you're going to scoot over.
Yeah, so we were going to ask you to play second base. And then the first year, anytime Corey got hurt, Marcus Semien would slide over to short. And he asked at the end of that first year, hey, don't do that to me anymore.
Yeah.
I want to be a second baseman. And I love that commitment. And it's paid. He's great. And by the way, he and Corey, who maybe were a little slow in starting as sort of that keystone combination in their first year, when they're both out there, they're as good as anybody in the game. And by the way, when Corey is hurt now, you get to move Josh Smith into that shortstop role, and he's fantastic over there too.
Or Jonathan Ornelas, he made some great plays too.
Yeah, he did. So anyway, they've got Marcus Semien locked in at second base. He's great there, but again, he just didn't have the year offensively that he wanted, that he expected. And so it's a little bit of a surprise to me that he is a Silver Slugger finalist. But obviously, we want all the Rangers to win. We want all the Rangers to have as much success as they can. But, yeah, that's it on the Silver Sluggers. Now, let's look at this Hall of Fame.
Oh, Gold Glove.
What, one more?
Gold Gloves were announced.
Oh, yeah.
No
winners.
Rangers. Right.
Yeah.
No Rangers, but still worth taking a look at. Gold Glove. Let's see.
There you go. And the Gold Gloves, you've got
the National League.
There's the National League guys. Chris Sale, the pitcher. What a year he had. He may win another one, not Gold Glove, but another award before it's all said and done. And
Christian Walker. I mean, everyone's talking about potential option there for the Rangers. Yeah. This is the American League.
Yeah, here's your American League guys. So Alex Bregman wins his first one, actually. And Alex Bregman, by the way, is a first-time free agent, too. They expect that he will be, they'll give him the qualifying offer, which would be $21.5 million. But Alex Bregman wins his first Gold Glove.
Could potentially win Silver Slugger and a Gold Glove.
Gold Glove and
year.
Silver Slugger. Yep, no doubt. Stephen Kwan as well. So anyway, there's the Gold Glove winners. Now let's take a look at this Hall of Fame Classic Era class that is out there. The Classic Era Committee has named these finalists, and some significant names on there include Tommy John, the former
TJ.
Dodger, who we always talk about every single day, I think, that we talk baseball.
And this new era of pitching, yes.
Yeah, and because of the surgery. It was done first on him, and then got named Tommy John surgery. So that's the one to repair the ulnar collateral ligament, and he should. He really should. If you're old enough to remember Louis Tiant, he literally, in his wind-up, turned his back to the plate. He'd start here, and I can't even spin, or I can't even do it in a spinning chair. He'd spin all the way around come back and finish his motion. It really threw people off.
Would that be a pitch clock violation these days?
It might. Wasn't that slow about it, actually. He was pretty quick, so that probably wouldn't. Also, Steve Garvey, the former Dodger. Josh Donaldson is on there. And Dick Allen, who my friend Jim Sundberg just talks about in glowing terms from his days as a player. So you see some of these great names on there, and they will be worth watching to see who becomes a Hall of Famer. Last year's Hall of Fame was so much fun, what with Adrian going in, and anytime one of your guys goes in, and I know we have a lot of Dodger fans on here, so you got a couple of Dodgers.
And the day Bruce Bochy goes in, I told Boch I'm flying to Cooperstown.
It's worth it too.
But he's so funny and shy. He's like, oh yeah, like he doesn't say anything.
No,
and I'm like, you're gonna get in.
He
Boch,
knows.
you know.
He knows, but he doesn't want to say it, and that's good.
Yeah, no, it's great, but it's just he's so humble.
So in the world of baseball, they kind of say that the hot stove season begins with the GM meetings, and they begin tomorrow. It's one of the reasons the Rangers wanted to make this announcement today about the fact that Ross Fenstermaker is the new general manager, with Chris Young as the president of baseball. And then they've also added Cole Figueroa as an assistant general manager. He comes from the Tampa Bay Rays organization. But at the GM meetings tomorrow, that's when things get started. Now, typically there are not a lot of moves made at the GM meetings. But in 2022, that's the year that it was there that the Rangers got Jake Odorizzi and made that trade with Atlanta that they made to bring Odorizzi into the fold. And that was the beginning of that year where they acquired so much pitching. So, there are things that can happen. But when I asked Ross about what he expected to do at the first GM meetings he will attend as a GM, and by the way, he has been there many times in his role and other capacities in the organization. But he said, set the tone. We're going to basically set the tone for everything that we're going to do in the off season will be set up and set at the GM meetings. So we believe there will be much activity during the off season with this Texas Rangers team. We believe Chris Young when he says he will not be placed in financial handcuffs this year. And if that is true, then I know Chris Young well enough to know this team is going to go after it. He is a competitive guy, and the only way he can compete now is to build a better team, and that's what he's trying to do.
It's going to be a good year. And we have a front row seat, and you do too. Yeah. If you watch us every single day, that'd be great.
Yep. We'll be here every day. Weird timing one day this week, on Thursday, that is. Thursday, we'll be here at 2. Abs mentioned we won't be here on Friday because of Do It for Durrett, but good news. On Saturday, we will be here to give you a wrap-up of Do It for Durrett. Tomorrow, we're right back here at noon, and we hope you will be too. Lots of chat and chatter today. We appreciate that so much, and we look forward to doing it with you again tomorrow on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Hot stove version.
We all silly like the mayor.